You know, it's a holiday show, and nothing spices up Christmas dinner like a tonsillectomy. I got my tonsils taken out 2 days before Christmas, my senior year of college, and the timing was my mother's idea. I wouldn't miss any school. She's a very practical woman. And I would miss out on the week-long holiday food orgy because, as Mom says, we could stand to skip a few meals. In her defense, at the time, we could. By my 5th year of college, I hadn't quite figured out the boys thing yet, and my biggest love affair was with my unlimited meal card. And I loved my mom, the former model, no pressure. Friends would meet her, and without thinking, they would go, "That's your mom?" And then quickly recover and be like, "Oh yeah, that's your mom." And because as the daughter of a former model, I looked just like my dad. And he was a tall man with a solid build and strong features that looked great on a guy, but were a little tougher on a teenage girl, on a large teenage girl. And my awkward phase lasted from like 11 to 30. And right at its peak, right in college, I tipped the scales at about 180. And my sister wasn't far behind, so while our gorgeous mom was sort of gliding down life's runway, we were sort of lurching, knocking over furniture on our way to the buffet table. And she would look at us like we were aliens, you know, and she would say to herself out loud, "It's a shame none of my daughters got my nose." And we'd be like, "Thanks, Mom. Gonna go refill this bowl of Lucky Charms now." And she wasn't cruel. She just was baffled as to how, you know, her gazelle-like frame could birth this ungainly herd. And she had also done time, in addition to being a model, she was also a sexy nurse. So she had a science and biology background, but still part of her was wondering if maybe there wasn't a mix-up in the Cabbage Patch. And she would always say, like, "Why can't you be more like Heidi?" Her favorite. She's like, "Heidi listens to me. Heidi has good posture. Heidi doesn't wolf down her food." Heidi was her fox terrier. One of several pets in a long line with human names. You know, there was Heidi and Daisy and Maggie and Jessie. And she'd say, "Oh, they're just named after the grandchildren I don't have." And really, they were named after the daughter she didn't have. And my sisters and I would sort of try to bust Heidi's diet. You know, my mom is like kissing the dog on the mouth and then sort of air kissing us, you know, and we're like, "We're good," if it's coming in that order. And so, you know, we'd slip food under the table for the dog, you know, busting her diet, and we would do that fake fetch thing to shatter her confidence to the core. Because we also inherited our dad's cruelty and hyperbole. So 48 hours on Christmas night, 48 hours after the most painful surgery in the history of medicine, I am sort of anchored on the couch, on the one little corner of the couch that's not covered by a monogram dog blanket. And I, you know, just got a TV clicker in one hand, got my cup of ice chips in the other. I do not have ice cream or Jell-O because we do not need those empty calories. So I am recovering, and it's Christmas dinner, and my family's eating. They've got the piled high with the stuffing and and I'm just like dreaming about food, sucking on ice chips and watching TV. And then finally dinner's over, and everybody disperses because they've got places to go and parties, and I just get hungrier and hungrier, and so I'm not just sucking on the ice chips, I'm like crunching on them and pretending it's like a crouton. And then I swallowed, and then I crunched another mouthful, and I guess I didn't crunch hard enough because when I swallowed, it started feeling very warm and salty. And so I lumbered into the bathroom, and one of my sisters is in there getting ready and also dipping into the leftovers, so she's got the drumstick in her mouth and the curling iron in her hair, and I shove her out of the way, and I spit into the sink, and it's bloody. She takes out the drumstick and says, "That is gross." And she's about to tell me to take that somewhere else, and then her eyes go wide because I'm no longer just spitting blood into the sink, I'm vomiting it. And it's just torrents of blood are pouring out of my mouth. And then they're coming out of my nose, and I can't breathe, and I can't, you know, see straight, and I'm coughing, and so blood is just spattering everywhere. It's like Carrie meets the crumps. And my sister's like just going, ew, 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 because we're a very sympathetic family. And so she runs out of the door and she goes to find my mom, who's like walking the dog, 30 times around the block to work off the turkey calories. And so I hear her going down the street, ew, 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 ew. And then when they finally get back, I'm just slumped over the sink. The blood has actually clogged the drain and is like filling the sink. And so then the paramedics come, and these are guys that are pulling like pieces of people out of car wrecks, but they stop at the bathroom door and go, whoa. And that's the last thing I remember, and then I pass out. And I wake up in the living room, I've got my shirt open, I've got EKGs all over my big boob. You gotta trust me on that one. All over my big fat boobs, and then and then the bleeding had just kind of stopped, as quickly as it started, and the neighbors are all in the front yard like, what are the fat girls doing? And then my mom calls the doctor, and he's like in full-on holiday flower, and he's like, oh, that. It happens. Evidently, here's one to grow on, cauterization is an inexact science. You can't always get all the capillaries. And so he asked my mom, what I've been eating, and she tells him ice chips, and he's like, why not just give her broken glass? What are you, crazy? She needs like cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes, Thanksgiving dinner. And so the neighbors disperse, my sisters go out, I get back on the couch, and yes, it took 2 to 3 paramedics to get me there. And my mom puts on her yellow gloves and goes to clean the bathroom. And so she has to empty, and this is where the nursing thing comes in very handy, because she has to get a bucket and scoop the blood into it before she could unclog the drain, because now it's just sort of this solid mass of blood. So she does that, puts a bucket down, and goes to get the plunger. And when she comes back, Heidi's got her face in that bucket and has licked it clean. And I don't know what has horrified my mom more, the fact that her favorite has just devoured medical waste, or the calorie count of that much blood. All I know is I have never loved a dog more. Merry Christmas, everybody.